Timor-Leste from Australia, because I think we only seem to ship gas workers in and out. So I used to work on this EduRoam project when I was based in Europe, and I continue to be affiliated with the EduRoam activities in the Asia Pacific. And so I'm going to tell you why I think it's important for Timor-Leste now. And so EduRoam has a long and storied history, and it's a secure wireless service for research and education. And so if you're not from a university, or you're not from a college or a high school, you might think maybe this is of no interest to me. But I will explain that if you're from ISPs, if you're from government, if you're from other sectors, then EduRoam and its parallel services are actually interesting and useful for you to explore. And so the first is, where is it? So this is not just a provincial service or a service just for Timor-Leste. This is a global service that's been rolled out by research and educational institutions and NRENs, other forms of academia, industrial science, and medical organisations around the planet. And so, we've continued to have growth in this service. More than 110 territories around the planet currently have EduRoam. And so if you look, it's heavily dominated by work in Europe, less so in Africa and Latin America, and increasingly in Asia. But we still have a very big way to go. And so we have roaming operators in Asia Pac. That seems to be a message saying you can watch it on YouTube Live. So we have a lot of production deployments that you can see from this map. And actually, if you can see the bottom of Australia, there's a tiny little triangle island, and that is the island that I live on. So although, Timor-Leste is an island nation, Tasmania is an island state of Australia, and that's where I'm based. And so we have some production deployments, and you can see there's quite a lot of, some large countries have deployed it. Because they're large, it looks dominant on the map, on a global map, or in this case, on this regional map. But still, we need a lot of depth in the deployment. We need to continue to get more and more organisations, libraries, archives, zoological gardens, and public spaces also connected to EduRoam in addition to just the research and educational institutions. There's some pilots going on in Cambodia, Bhutan, Afghanistan, and you'll see pending, right? Still don't have anything happening in Timor-Leste, in Papua New Guinea, Myanmar, Vietnam, Mongolia, and most of the Pacific is without EduRoam at this point in time. And so the base of participation is actually still quite huge, right? There's only 24 NRENs that are active in the Asia Pac region, even though there's many more, economies. There's 56 APNIC members economies throughout the region. And then if you go to the United Nations list, they say that there are 73 countries in Asia Pacific. It always depends on how you cut up countries, because obviously APNIC has overlap between the other regional internet registries on membership in the region, because some of Asia is covered by the RIPE NCC, particularly the Middle East, and ARAN has some of the Pacific. And I actually think that even AFRINIC and APNIC swap some organisations in the Indian Ocean, for instance. And so you can see that we have 29 economies in Oceania. The value in brackets are the number of educational institutions that I can find in those. So out of the landlocked countries, small island developing nations, developing states, and developing and concession countries, there's still quite a lot of institutions that exist in those locations that don't have access to EduRoam. So what is it? You say, where is it? But what is it? So it's a global wireless roaming service. It's based on WPA2 Enterprise. It uses Radius to transport your connections, your credentials, and it has this trust fabric that's based on radius as well as policy, so a radius hierarchy. Doesn't use web splash screens or shared passwords, as you may be more commonly used for Wi-Fi. It started in TF Mobility, a task force of Terrainer that I used to be involved in, and EduRoam stands for Education Roaming. And importantly, it's free for roaming users. So there's no need to reconcile costs between institutions for users. And so this is obviously a benefit, particularly for the universities and their students, but there's a cost burden associated with that. And so that can be contentious for some, for some instances. When it was being developed, they looked at a few options. One of them was to have open Wi-Fi, just because connecting to Wi-Fi itself was even problematic once upon a time. And then because there was a cost to traffic, people wanted to use virtual private networks to route back to your home institution, so they would pick up the bill for that link. Now that only works if you're having an exchange point, because if your traffic is going out to the commodity internet and coming back in via a different provider in order to replicate usage of a user, that's going to in effect double the cost. It's going to have an inbound connection cost as well as an outbound cost. So because of the structure of the network in Timor-Leste, and also the structure of networks back then, that became problematic to sort of work at scale. The next one was this web redirect and captive portals. They're popular in airports and cafes and hotels, increasingly becoming less popular because there's no over-the-air security, and you're not sure whether you can trust them. So this is an old screenshot, but it's from Schiphol Airport in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And you get this pop-up of connecting to the Wi-Fi and options to pay for it. And you don't actually know when you enter this Wi-Fi network whether this is legit or is this run by a 16-year-old on her laptop as a site to scam your credit card details, right? Because you're not work out whether it's actually a working network or not, and it's hard to trust until you're connected to the internet. And so both AFTAB and AWAL talked about DNSSEC and other things. When you're not connected to the real internet and you can't verify all of this information, you actually don't know the profile of the network that you're connected to. And so as time has changed, so has technology. So, if you look at this graph over time, you can see unencrypted open Wi-Fi networks have really plummeted over time. That's far less common. WPA2 has increased. WPA1 has disappeared. WPA3 is starting to rise, a very small percentage. And increasingly, the networks that exist out there are encrypted. Now, if you don't know the password, you can't connect to them. And so that's one of the problems that EduRoam tries to solve. So how does it work? This is what it looks like. Got some old graphics here. If you're a user that's visited an institution, you'll connect to a Wi-Fi access point that will connect you to the radius server of the institution. You don't belong to that institution because you're a visitor, so it will send the request upstream to the roaming operator. It'll find the institution that you belong to, authenticate against their user database, and send back a status saying you've authenticated correctly and you're allowed on the EduRoam network. And then the access point will drop you onto a visitor VLAN, for instance. Now, these are obviously all different levels of complexity that you can deploy in your situation. So if you don't have VLANs, then you just connect people to the network. But the more sophisticated your network is and how you segregate your own users, you can also do that for visitors through EduRoam. And so this box is what the campus is responsible for. This is the campus deployment. And so this builds on your existing Wi-Fi deployment. No new equipment, just new configuration. You don't do pre-shared keys for Wi-Fi. You don't do splash screen portals. And one of the benefits is you can use eduroam as your home Wi-Fi network. So if you're changing from a pre-shared key or an open Wi-Fi network with a captive portal, you can rename your network eduroam, and as you've moved to WPA2 Enterprise Network, you now have this whole a network that will work when people roam as well as being on campus, right? This seamless one network that will work all of the time. Equally, as you deploy eduroam, you can stop doing guest accounts for visitors, because they can use their eduroam credentials when they come and visit. So you can simplify the help desk, and then there's no cost associated with that. And also, because eduroam is a global service, as we make improvements and deployment worldwide, that also benefits your campus. Some of the reasons people choose not to deploy eduroam, or the reasons they state, is they don't like the loss of control, because you want to know who's accessing your network. And so this is not true. Everyone that visits your network is a member of an eduroam network. And you can ask the local eduroam operator. You can go upstream to the regional operators, and you can find people in particular cases if there's some need to do mitigation, contact law enforcement, all of those issues. So, one of the things is, evil people use eduroam. You can still monitor usage and block individuals, right? But you do have to report blocking individuals or blocking institutions upstream so that those issues can be resolved. Once upon a time, people used to say, oh, the US doesn't have eduroam, so why would I go there? Or Australia doesn't have eduroam, why would we want to deploy it? It doesn't make sense. Now, with more than 110 countries and lots of pilots with eduroam, that's gone away as an excuse. And so increasingly, you have the network effect with lots of people deploying eduroam. You have this benefit of it will be available in many locations. And I guess maybe the closest location, Charles Darwin University, has eduroam. Or if you go to the APNIC offices and you're going to be signing an APNIC Foundation grant, eduroam is available there. Some people say, my staff and students don't go anywhere, and so there's no need to have a roaming service like eduroam. And actually, one of the most significant projects was done by Janet in the UK. This is a map of the UK, slightly tilted because it was projected on the globe. And what they've done is they've done little blobs of usage of eduroam use, high volume use of eduroam. And you can see these different blobs. Now you see this really large red blob. If you don't know the geography of the UK, you might think that's London. And in fact, when they first built this graph, they thought it was London, and they thought the data of where the institutions were based was just wrong, and they just needed to shift the location of all of the blobs over to best suit London, because that little cluster of smaller red blobs is actually London. But when they did some more investigation, they actually worked out, no, the blobs were in the correct. So why is there so much use in the southeast of England and not in London? And it was because three colleges decided to collaborate on courses. So you wouldn't actually do every single course at every single college, and you'd actually have to physically walk. There was about a kilometre and a half in a triangle of these three colleges. And so if you wanted to do advanced mathematics and physics, you would go to a different college. If you're doing arts, you would go to a different college. If you're doing drama, television production, you'd go to a different college. You wouldn't enroll in that college, you'd stay enrolled in your own, and you just wander down the road and do particular classes. And this would create this huge amount of mobility with the students. And this was what Janet ended up coining the term permissionless innovation, right? The research network built this infrastructure. Eduroam existed in these institutions, and the colleges didn't need permission from anyone to build, to start to collaborate and to allow their students to move around. And so this is another flight map of where people go. So you could see there's quite a lot of mobility happening around the UK, and not everyone is going to London, as sort of everyone once feared. The London institutions would take on the burden of all network traffic. It's also not just Eduroam. So while Eduroam is a very old service, it's more than 20 years old now. It spawned additional services, GovRoam, within the Netherlands and Belgium and the UK, where government organisations decided they wanted a similar service and they wanted mobility, and the Dutch actually convinced their tax office to do it first. And once the tax office decided it was okay and acceptable for their staff, everyone else stopped having objections. And so you've got a shared infrastructure that's paid for by the government in lots of locations. And so if you're already paying for it, it makes no sense to deny other users funded via the same resources not to have access to those networks. CityRoam is a research project out of Tohoku University in Japan, and they do a lot of Eduroam and city roaming work to look at the interoperability of roaming. And then Open Roaming is a service of the Wireless Broadband Alliance. That's actually reasonably new, but it actually uses the technology that Eduroam was built on. And so Eduroam has, as services like Hotspot 2.0, Next Generation Hotspot, and Wi-Fi Passport, these were all the brand names given to sort of the precursor work that is Open Roaming. They basically used the exact same building blocks that were already used in Eduroam, because Eduroam didn't develop anything new, it just compiled the best of breed building blocks to make these things work. And so the best thing about using something like Open Roaming or Wireless Broadband Alliance or CityRoam hotspots is that you can, some of them are compatible with your Eduroam service, and you'll just connect without having to do anything special. And so actually there's nothing simpler than doing nothing, right? You just want to connect to that hotspot. You don't want to have to reconfigure your phone or your laptop or your tablet. You just want it to work. And this has created the opportunity for public-private partnerships. And so I think there's a few instances of this, and I don't know if there are any mobile operators in the meeting at the moment, but certainly in Ireland, the Irish NREN actually collaborated with Eduroam and the second most popular mobile phone provider, because the second most popular provider wants to be the most popular at some point in time. And so they provided discounts for students, and those students were connected to Eduroam as well as to buying a mobile, cellular data plan from the provider. Because their devices had Eduroam, whenever they were at a university campus or a cafe run by the ISP, the cellular operator, they would get dropped onto Eduroam, which is a much cheaper network for the operator to deal with rather than cellular. They wanted to sell cellular at the time to their business customers that are more expensive, but they also wanted to establish a user base. So students are always price conscious. If someone's willing to give them a discount, then they'll follow that. And so that was actually very, very effective for HEN in Ireland to broaden the deployment of Eduroam, because the operator was willing to put it into cafes and those sorts of organisations that they managed a hotspot for. But it also increased the user base, because you need new people to fund the development of your mobile infrastructure. And so we had students are, once they get rich enough, and I guess equally people are getting younger and younger getting mobile phones. I know there's a debate in Australia of whether we want to try and keep mobile phones out of kids' hands. for longer, but that seems to be failing. And so, nearly everyone seems to have a mobile phone these days. And in Sweden, they partnered with an organisation called the Cloud, and the NREN is rich enough there that they actually pay a commercial operator to let their students use hotspots that are run by this company. So how do we get it? You first start with a pilot deployment. Now, Eduroam is never an island. Eduroam is always interconnected. So I don't want you to rush back to your campus and change your SSID to Eduroam and decide job done, because it always needs to link. It always needs to work, because you'll have instances where there'll be people from the Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand that have Eduroam accounts that will actually want to connect, or their devices will attempt to connect. And so when I connected up Chile, the Reuna, they wanted to know if I'd handed out test accounts to people in their country when they first did deployment, because when they did the deployment at their national university, they actually had some people from the University of Queensland on campus doing a research project, and their devices started to connect. So the first users to connect in Chile weren't people from Chile itself. They were actually Australians that happened to be there working on a research project, and their phones just noticed Eduroam was around, tried to connect, and it worked. And they were surprised by this. But this is why Eduroam always has to be interconnected. We always want a working service, even when it's a pilot deployment. So the steps are connect to upstream radius servers, do some deployments, and get some knowledge of how it works. And then you can go through the process of becoming a production deployment, which requires the signing of some paperwork, more a resilient regional proxy server deployment, going through and doing the trademark registration, and then you get access to a range of additional services that make your deployment even simpler. And so this is the operator, the operator infrastructure. You need to run a central radius server. The campus infrastructure is hotspots, Wi-Fi access points, a local radius server, and a user database. And then you have a lot of choices for authentication options with your user database. And sometimes this can be a little bit overwhelming. And so that's why you need to make choices, obviously, because you'll have particular identity storage or not for your campus. And you'll have a range of devices that your student and staff base use. And so we've actually developed a tool called CAT, Configuration Assistant Tool, which actually comes with customized installers and profiles for a large range of devices, an increasing range of devices. This is actually an old screenshot. And some things have simplified over time as operating systems have been discontinued or improvements have been made. If you're just a cafe, then you can just do hotspot infrastructure. You don't actually have to do everything else. And you can do cloud-based infrastructure. So maybe there's a need in Timor-Leste to concentrate on some cloud deployment services that people can use to more rapidly increase the deployment. Governance requires, or growth requires governance. And so we actually, in 2011, so more than a decade after Eduroam started, we needed to, it was heavily European influenced, and we needed to give wider representation. And so we created this Global Eduroam Governance Committee, which created the compliance statement. I was the founding secretary of that group when it started, and we have some Asia Pac representatives on that. It used to be Warwick Mitchell, if people know Warwick, from ARNet in Australia. He's recently stepped away from that role and been replaced with Paul He. And I don't have a picture of Paul. I've asked him for it. He hasn't sent me one. But Hideaki Goto, from Tokyo University, and City Rome is one of your reps, and Doc Choi from Korea. So what's next after Edurome? Right, it's the federation. The other projects that I work on are identity federation. So Edurome allows you to access Wi-Fi when you physically move, and identity federation allows you to access services, via your web browser using your university or institutional account. And so there's a service called EdgeGain, which is a global authentication infrastructure. As you can see, this is an old map. So it shows the various progress of people deploying around the globe, and it very similarly maps to Edurome deployment. And hopefully, next for Edurome is that we get Timor-Leste on the map, and we get a deployment, a pilot started, and some interest from people there. So if you have questions, contact me or ask them now. And I'll stop sharing, and hopefully I'll be able to read any comments in the chat. Or I've dropped out and you didn't hear any of this.
Check. Oh yes, group, Brooke, thank you so much for your presentation. Here, we have two questions. I just quote from the two participants here, from Nico and also from Lucia. That is a very interesting topic, that it's talking about the emerging technology and also for the innovation ecosystem. That we need your notes and response. That one question from the Nico is, hello, Brooke, are you hearing me? Hello, Brooke, are you hearing me? Hello, Brooke, are you hearing me?
I can hear you because I'm listening to the YouTube live stream.
Oh, great, thank you. Yep. Yeah, we have that is a very interesting topic that you have shared and presented. We have a very related question. We have two participants earlier here. They have a question from Nico and Lucia talking about, Nico is talking about the innovation ecosystem. So the question is like this: does the NREN, National Research Education Network, foster innovation by providing access to research? Sorry, this is from Lucia first. Does the National Research Education foster innovation by providing access to research, data, cloud computing, and other emerging technology? Based on your experience first, because this is really important. How the future we will have the Timor-Leste network, research education network. Thank you so much, Brooke.
So I was trying to listen to both the YouTube live stream, which is delayed, and the question, and so I missed some of the question. So it's not a requirement that you have a research network, right? We've done many deployments where it's been a group of universities, and this is why we have this pilot stage, because we want to know the organization that looks after the initial deployment. We want to know that they're willing to share the infrastructure and grow the participation, right? So the only reason we do this pilot rather than give a monopoly to someone is we don't want to give it to an organization that wants Edurome from themselves and doesn't want any participation from peer organizations within the country, right? That then becomes a problem if we have to then take it away from that organization and give it to someone else. Much better to get it right the first time. And so that's why we did this pilot deployment. And so that pilot deployment might be just one institution. It might stay at one institution for a very long time. But ideally, we want to get some wider involvement and some collaboration, and know that the group of universities or the one university that manages the service for a territory is actually doing a good job for everyone. So that's the goal. So no NREN is required to do EduRoam. But this is one of these NREN services. It's often something that an NREN takes on early in its life, if there is an NREN. And I know that's not the case, or at least it's in flux within Timor-Leste. So maybe if one university is trying to grow the NREN, a different university has the time to focus on growing EduRoam, right? And we've had some instances where NRENs are federated, so they all run different services for the benefit of a whole research network.
Great, Brooke. One more question is related to the NICO. I just quoted here. It's talking about the emerging technology. So the question is, how is the NREN preparing for the challenges and opportunities, preparing by emergency technology like AI and IoT and 5G and so on? Thank you.
So I'm not entirely sure about the question about how the NREN works. I'm not too sure if it's specifically an EduRoam question regarding AI, and I'm going to put in headphones to improve the quality of the questions that come inbound. So there is actually some work, at least in the AI space, looking at EduRoam to look at logs. So one of the things that EduRoam does, it's obviously got authentication, a channel for authentication. And so I didn't actually talk about this in my presentation, but actually EduRoam doesn't carry all of the traffic, right? The EduRoam network only covers the authentication traffic. So once the authentication is completed, you're then running on top of Starlink, Timor-Leste South Submarine Cable, Asia Connect 1, a microwave link, to Darwin, to another country, whatever services that you use for Wi-Fi. So the EduRoam authentication path is different from where the data traffic happens. And EduRoam doesn't see that data traffic, right? We see the authentication, which is actually authentication really. We're just passing packets, we're routing packets. And then there's another channel within Radius which sends what's called accounting information. Now, that is used traditionally. If you ever experience like Boingo Wireless or some of these other wireless services, they use this accounting traffic to count up how much usage you're using of traffic. Now, what EduRoam uses that accounting traffic for is actually to check the quality of the link that you're connected to. So when you get connected, you have authentication traffic flowing, then you get dropped onto the network properly. But if that network is broken, doesn't do DHCP, right? Some people have a VLAN set up for visitors and it doesn't do DHCP. So you get dropped into this VLAN that's broken. Now I've experienced this reasonably recently, at an Australian university, and I failed to convince them that they had a problem. But anyway, and so you get dropped onto this network, no DHCP, you don't send any traffic, like all traffic is dead. And so you don't send any accounting data because you don't consume any network traffic because the network is broken. Now, so there are actually some projects to take this accounting information and using AI to process the logs to work out who's got broken networks. And what you want is you want to know broken networks before any user uses it, and particularly before any important user uses it, right? If your vice chancellor or your director of ICT at your university goes somewhere, or more importantly, they have a visitor from another university and the network is broken, that can be embarrassing. And so there are actually ways of sort of solving that. And there's some work, but I'm not too sure about if the question was more generic about AI or identity. But I'll take the next question, and hopefully I can hear you better.
Thank you, Brooke. If there is more another question from the participant, have you please? Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to ask about what is the disadvantage for if we implement the EduRAM? Thank you. Hello? Are you hear me? Hello? Hello, bro.
No disadvantages, right? Why would there be disadvantages? I mean, one of the things is you're going to have, if you have an attractive campus, oh, I was answering a question I thought about disadvantages. There's actually a delay because I've still got the YouTube live on. Apologies. And so if there's a thing about disadvantages, then I would say people will use your bandwidth, right? And obviously, Timor-Leste is going to see a huge drop in the cost of bandwidth in the coming years as Timor-Leste South Submarine Cable gets connected to Darwin and AsiaConnect 1 comes and Starlink. And so there is a disadvantage that if you have a more attractive campus, people will come and use that service. It might be close to a bus interchange, or it might be, close to a shopping mall or something like that. I was at a university that was also worried about that. So in the early 2000s, internet was expensive in Australia. It sort of rivaled the cost of the power bill for the university. And so they wanted to limit this. But when our marketing team discovered that you could attract universities or students from other universities because we thought we had the best cafes and the best library facilities and were close to public transport, that was actually the cheapest way of attracting new students, and it was worth the cost of the bandwidth.
Thank you very much, Brooke, for sharing with us. We don't want to hold more your time, so thank you very much. Now we hand over to our MC to lead our ceremony. Once again, thank you very much, Brooke.
Tuirmai ita dia tuirmai ho respeito a mi convida mau abilu Bernardo Carlas nuda representante usi Apnic Foundation yane atununen dia bel kuliah itu ang kona ba presença switch dia gender project ya Timor tempo no fating ami fo.
dia boa tarde, baita hotu. Awan depois ita almoço ne la rumah ita saya itu ang fleksibel ne ita ne workshop mesema ya ita bolu TLNOG ne kan quase a maioria engenheiro comunidade sira usi engenheiro ita hamutuk mesmo que a usi apnik foundation mai be au nós somos comunidade dia faz parte da TLNOG luta botida abel diang dinan sanul ne larang mes ho bot sira paling sama dia so serselutang bele consegue realiza TLNOG ne dia kau nara bili barnar kalas sono bala hatenana hau maka coordenador nasional ba apni foundation mai Timor-Leste ele fokus baya project kita ami bolu suites ya suites ni ya nasaung neng ya ASEAN inclui Timor, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailandia. Tinangwing ami apni foundation atau rekruta tang Indonesia nebe anesang ita hau anesang nasional coordenador lebih ma experiência tama na mai Timor basic tinantolo na hau husi ano 2022 nebe fokus baya agenda diversidade mai be ninia apni foundation ninia fokus ni balio ya engineering baya cyber security engineering or networking security nebe apni foundation 2002 quando hau persidet silo que ton video 3 minutos sida quando ba apni foundation yang sorry my colleagues I'm speaking my own language awal dia kan ya kolega amigo dia kira awal sempre a sormali a conference apni conference apricot ebe ami nesse malu so it's welcome to our beloved country awal and my other colleagues and so how informan video simple sida lebe apni foundation ba switch awagar desse TB sana Timor-Leste proud tamabela organiza mos feito maluk sira pusi 2022 ema 12 pessoas de recrutamento sira sai hanesang participante ida baya switch project ne 12 pessoas ne be mai usi instituição ngoindet usi Timor-Telkom TIC Ministério Obras Público, Universidade UNTL, labe grupo fetorit. Ani colega mana será logo kira hus hauda mobil tambah sama agora mobil fokus it pa fetorit ne. Hada lo sama fokus a feto lá. Programa ne ma fokus uni para halo balanço bahia gênero. Los pa fetorit. Ia grupo LGBTQI. Maybe atubuka sektor IT ne difícil. Okay. How encourage ela sira grupo selo que how dia sane feto bele imi sira lebe ma grupo selo kare se imi tame grupo dane anta imi bele tame programa dane dia kana in tabele loke video ne hores ya 4 minutos bele mas tama ya apnik foundation in a website www.apnik.foundation Hanesang ha informat na switch project ni involve na saung neng Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailandia, Philippines, Timor-Leste. Hau participa na conferência dala tolo na ba apni conference apricot hamutuk ho participan switch sira. Desculpa ho luantia ia participan sira ne semak mai usi switch projeto ne bel hit limang. Sonho até quase feito roto. Sira mesa potência de nebe mak serviço ia okay. Ia YouTube mosia tau det apnik switch inabamos ya YouTube. Ami halan evento national events baswits ni hamuto dala tolo ni Timor. Technical issue, lighting issue. Yeah, on behind the screen. It's widened. So it will not take long. It's only a short video, 3 minutes. That show the switch project that involved 6 economies. Oh, yeah.
As world events drive our reliance on internet services and applications, demand for technical proficiency and upskilling for professionals working in the internet industry is at an all-time high. The Switch project is an approach that supports professional development for women and gender-diverse technical professionals working in the Southeast Asia internet industry in Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, the Philippines, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. The project assists participants with learning, professional certification, and mentoring with the goal of increasing diversity in the sector and boosting recognition of their professional achievements. Each of the economies involved have their own national coordinator who helps the participants in their learning journey. Participants receive training and mentoring based on a personalized training plan developed according to their professional needs and goals, covering a wide range of areas such as technical certification, management, or language skills. Participants are also encouraged to share their knowledge and expertise and engage with the technical community and expand their professional network, all at no cost to participants. Switch also supports technical research skills development through 21 small research grants to date allocated to project participants. Participants are encouraged to share the outcomes of their research, looking for greater professional visibility. Some of these research outcomes, such as posters and papers, have already been published by reputable technical conferences and journals. As of April 2023, the project has supported 203 women and gender-diverse technical professionals. During the first phase, the project supported 74 people, while the second phase is currently supporting 161 people, with some participating in both phases. The project supports mentoring sessions in small group sessions, as well as access to individual sessions, including topics like resilience, self-confidence, voice and autonomy, and provided practical tools to address challenges participants faced around structuring and following through with their personalized training plans. Participants have also been supported to attend international conferences, as well as a growing number of technical community events and retreats for project participants to get to know each other and expand their support networks. National coordinators also organized a national event for each economy, so participants could network and share what they have learned.
I received financial assistance for research and to attend courses and self-improvement mentoring sessions. All of these opportunities contributed to my increased professional visibility and recognition and enabled me to present my research as a poster at a national academic conference, which won Best Paper Award.
The Switch project is enabling participants to be proactive and make decisions to drive their professional development to where they want it to be, planning and managing their own learning and increasing their capacity to share with the technical community about their work, as well as how they have put their learning into practice and to inspire others. For most project participants, that is quite transformational. The community is benefiting from the knowledge shared and the increased technical capacity, but also some participants are now serving in the boards of technical groups, volunteering on a number of community committees, as well as taking an active role as community trainers. The project has also inspired reflection about the role the AP-NIC Foundation can play to increase gender diversity and social inclusion in the internet industry. The project was delivered by the AP-NIC Foundation, AP-NIC Academy, and cooperating partners. Funding for the first phase was provided thanks to Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade's Cyber and Critical Tech Cooperation Program. Funding for the expanded project is now generously provided by the Asia-Pacific Internet Development Trust.
Dia nema video short sida media sira daruma usau dia be sama Aptic Foundation dia switch ni programa ne silenciosos la voz do público au responde dia resultado a mi halo depois makambele check ya website Aptic Foundation yang YouTube o channel media sira tamite kuliah kona ba gender diversity ya bat balo ke sensitivo ba sira feto sira grupo sira selo ya assunto balo que halo discussão ba infraestruturas estado niang answen colega sira balo kuliah tana ba cyber security tama quase a maioria participantes sira os suites ne serviço ho instituição estado ao espera katak tinang wing bela hetang PNTL niang força falentil sira DTL bela Feto maluk sira bela encoraja para bela tuir. Total participantes sira husi 2022 mas ito agora ia 52 participantes. Limitação cada tinang ame recruta 25. 52 participantes ne mais husi instituições so inguindet. Mas be domina barak ni mati Timor-Leste hotik agência tik ni. Obrigado barak. Fom haudiam ba apnik haudia sefi bot haudiam primeiro a hetang 12 pessoas de difícil tamau fima hahu maio depois salo recrutamento quedas e sira começa quedas course enrollment ia programa rumah nebe maka fokus liu ia cyber security networking mas online ta ite he dificuldades barak Apnik Foundation ami halo assessment e hareba progresso sarne sira hetang internet support mesmo que hetang ten internet support e ten conectividade mak susar fale nebe ia desafios sira quase a maioria serviço instituição e experiência e área IT networking mas be ami bolo profissional pathway sirnya carreiras profissional sarne sira rasik maktawi ese ambulu professional development plan seda makbele kursus seda makbela ajuda para sira bela atingir sernia achieve homos instituição yang lebih sira serviço ba lo sira ne cyber security ou networking date e hemos flexibilidade tamatene kata kita liga tecnologia e língua inglês maka domina então a Aptic Foundation fomos apoio sira bahaya kursus inglês niang sinceramente cursos barak halau online hotu tulos belemos face to face e a nação economia lima nebem hautemi Vietnam Laos Thailandia Philippines seria vendor lokal. Essa instituição, companhia, fundação, será valor, sira e a credibilidade para bela formação e a área sira técnico engenheiro nia. Nebe oportunidade de bater no por fundação será selo ao kuliona FDCL ao kuliona fundação será selo tam aplik foundation mos for grant oin brook temi de down. E durante tinang hiranelara aplik foundation apoio ona grant significativo Bahia Water Management, Smili Group. E go internacional ona. Sira aplica, foi down ba hetantam prêmio de Japão. Smili Group, ba Water Management, gestão ba BNA. Aplik Foundation ma apoio grande ida basira. Depois, Rede Esperança, lebih makalau instituição Madre Serniang ia Gileno Hermera. Hareba rede infraestrutura ho wifi sire dificuldade situang também ia ano india loke rede esperança sirat no ano india sir for internet mas sa SP mas internet tidak free nya mas ni discussão heng ain se bela for licença basira kalai rede esperança ni mas setang grants usi apnik foundation maitang ia UNTL bahia rede internet ne bemak bahia politekniku usi Universidade de Tokyo amutu ko Aplik Foundation for Grand ida ba universidade oning sirhetang usi Telkomsel makmanan tender dito ni kawan sa national coordinator hansa ba observa monitoring ba haremos implementação projeto sa ni maybe oni focus pali ya grupo gender sira ya sira malok feto sira mangare balu mihane areala curso sira mak sira hetang e dificuldades basira hansa Apnik Foundation for ten apoio internet maybe problema itene internet ne con sira fila husu serviço sira hola pacote ani malok alok iteme operador sira desculpa mas bawing ano itania serviço ne bel melhoratang BTS sira cada barrio Dharma 4G TMS ninia traffic ni makas antang sira la bele heta internet ira qualidade dia bala bele tuir curso sira lebe makane au private hene au karu husulai se makene register tana ba Apnik Academy TLNOG all members se ma register tana ya Apnik Academy okay ingira bet nang sandulet se hau bele karik hau uso obrigatório ba TLNOG sira hoto registro ya Apnik Academy free livre curso sira ba technical engineering ne larang hoto TLNOG mos ia community mailing list sida ia orbit ia aplikasi platform ida ne bema Apnik desenvolve orbit ba comunicação, ba discussão sira a comunidade yang lebih kriya spesialidade ba ia TLNOG switch mos ia ninia kanal ida ketak lebih bele discussão além de internet support sira mos participan sehetang mos cursus inglês vendor tambahan conhecido de Timor-Leste sira batur cursus fulantolo balu tuir be LTS be exam hetang como haware imbalu hene semak registro tene Cisco Academy okay hau daruma ba universidade sira audian sani bot sani gratuito ela sema dian Cisco level registra Cisco sema dian one label selo audian lada e cursos balu que imibele foto certificado tama daruma ite experiência ia terreno etc mas be requisitos balu ita tama ita CV ita buka serviço median lá ita bot ia certificado rumah kalai ba curso sira certified cernen hau ba ona kuliah ho sira Cisco Academy hau kuliah ona ho sira Fortinet Academy okay ho link ho serviço ne bema Apnik Foundation ho Apnik Foundation ninia fating ia Brisbane hamutu ho Apnik ninia headquarter ia Brisbane. Sehingga serviço liu ba fokus ba ia comunidade infraestruturas ba desenvolvimento ready internet it suites. Oi me hare kona ba mana de usa ba pesquisa. Apni foundation formos grants ba ia pesquisa. Aprendemos metodologia balo para hal pesquisa liu ba ia cyber security networking, ia network infrastructures, internet development. Atau grants ni tinang Apnic Foundation, diu sa Apnic Foundation pusi financial source sa di fato sa Australia, ISIF, Jepang sira, Korea sira, donor sira nebe makamutuk for ba Apnic Foundation então desenvolver na. So yung diang participante si balo sira tui balo mas hawing encourage sira para bele tuir exame Cisco. Ulo kita diang sana ito so hal exame bele ba Indonesia ka baliu, hade lai. Exame Cisco ne bele hal e Timor. Sema diang la bele. Primeiro, qualidade de internet tem dia, 6 megabytes. Instituição, asa TIC, internet dia, Ministério de Finanças, governo, aquela instituição. Pele halo, penting halo, abol dark room. Sala ida nebema kala bele kahorong sel, par sala ida kona ba exame. Al favor, haning liderança balo e instituição sirasne, provide by training room. Hakuletan se FOPE, hakuletan o centro de formação. Ministério de Finanças, halo dark room ida, para cursos ba MSNB atau halo exame ba, certificado sira nebema kredibel, tama precisa internet nebema dia, ruangan ida nebema kalau bela kahuro buat selu, tama halo exame, tama mesak date, person view, halo exame Cisco hamutuk dala tolona, hau koko halo Timor, ida tamba, hau tinggi investirasi pengang, para bela ajuda falecer. Ya naba. Eu contente também a Apnic Academy Universidade se selo começar a registro na será kodak dan sama kami beli hata materi se routing so buat sene yang lain bahin naba Cisco Academy bele. Kona ba eventos tinang ami sempre halo evento rua. Ida welcome event bem-vindo ba participan será for kota 25 pessoas de 25 orang det mak bele tamai programa dan Sela foto itu halo resumo dito na. Danima programa Switch niang i how for challenge pauing oportunidade bele hahu setembro outubro a minha recrutamento tang ba ia Switch project niang 25 pessoas tetama. Okay, obrigado para que danima hanya tempo intervenção obrigado.
Mga bilu bela hola fating na fating hawen lai. Ami convida Monze. Tahu dia bahasa limang. Dia obrigada barak ba mau abiliu nebe faheo na experiência com a ba switch ba ita. How karak amenta tang utuan det katak how mos participante ida usi switch. How tu how hetang oportunidade dala rua. How akara encourage ba kolega feto maluk sira katak programa switch ne diak tebes. Kama sera mau diak ba how pessoal antes né, how é uma técnica ida, how kuliah sana la bela ida, how so hatene uma serviço técnico niang, mas beli usi switch how aprende buat barak lah limar, além de capacity building, amimos ya class coaching niang, onsa atu be, hadiah itu de public speaking, mas kita agora hane public speaking sidak dia close, mas be how se aprende na fate, obrigado. Tuirmai how convida Mau Fábio Magalhães atau mai fahe baita kona ba network security. Obrigado. Tempo no fating ami fo.
Obrigado. Hau respeito ba colega sira convidados nebe marca presença né o tarima ita hotu. Hau ene uruk atu nunai atu apresenta hau yang apresentação né hau explica tak hau mai la representa usi hau yang são hau mai hansa nudar técnico ida nebe makar fahe hau conhecimento hau experiência liga bahia sabe security nebe mak durante na heta. Next, kono bahau, hau Fabio de Marquez, karek connect me hau karek, hau yang linking mana ba, nomo sa Twitter. Wahira kita karak involve komunitas, community, precisamos sa media sosial sa Twitter. Tambah yang naba maka quase teknik ser nabe maka extens, file in sini, barak lu Twitter, nomo sa linking. Next, okay. Quando ba continuo nebe makau to apresenta, iane quando ba hanepot. Iane mais menos sema pernah hal deploy ou hatene quando ba hanepot, mais menos. Okay, pronto. Iane apresentação nebe makau to apresenta ne primeiro quando ba hanepot ne sei, nomos hanet. Depois tipo quando ba hanepot ne. Terceiro, quando vai o ensaio deploy hanepot. Depois quarto, quando vai o ensaio tatkare quando vai ninia serviço. O scannerio nebe mak husi hanepot nerasi. Quinto, quando vai tools nebe mak hanepot ne usa. Depois, nomos atu apresenta quando vai exemplo, usa caso rumah, caso nebe mak hetang IP husi Timor-Leste nebe maka atake baiha sensor nebe mak tau hanepot iha epinik niya. Ikus makona ba benefício hosi hanepot ne. Iane how to halo resume kata informação kona ba contido husi apresentação ne bara kau hetang husi Mr. Adli Wahid niya anesang spesialis ne cybersecurity iha epinik niya maka lidera kona ba epinik community haninet project. Ini kami halu kolaborasi barak, kona ba fahe share kona ba amiasa cibernetica ini ane. Oke, pronto, mazim bele, oke. Like previous oke dia. Ini ia lifu ainda, usi lens speeder, nia ia Sense Institute. Nebe ini livro da quando va Know Your Enemy tengah tena itaninya inimigo narasi nebe yan ba yele fuanda gule quando va o ensaio to defende ata soro itani inimigo mohir itarasi mus lah tena itani inimigo nese idane maka quase toto itane kata ia kohir italiga ba ya security yang seberatene quando va firewall intrusion detection system endpoint security idane hasang balu prevene não sal detecta de mas ita kara hatene motivação técnico ou procedur nebe maka attacker ako black hat nebe maka usa para bele halo estraga itene sistema rasi ou itene yang servidores ka ou buat nebe magliga ba infrastruktura ba ICT ni ne iane so wahir kon atatene kono inimigo ni ne mak ita bela usa honeypot ne honeypot hanisang sistema ida ou service ida debe ni função atau atrai attacker ka hacker ka ou black hats debe makatu tama ba iten sistema ne iane ni ida tama ka ni atrai ho atenção ba attacker sera ne o para husi da ne ba ita bela estuda kono ba método informação depois uma ita bela improve ita nini yang sistema rasi para bela defend ita nini yang infrastruktura husi itana sini ne itani yang itani equipamento supaya itini rasi depois ia mo se haninet ne hansang manipulação husi ready ne nebe maka liu husi hanipot ni ida kari kono hanipot mo tau barak entau idane narang haninet ia tipu hanipot ne ida narang low and medium interaction honeypot ida ne asa futi exemplo ida kare quando how uma real da depois how karak halo uma selu kida mas uma ne laos real uma nas fake ne para tu atrai det ia ema rumah para tu bele futi sang ne larang ne ia uma larang ne rasi mas ida low and medium interaction ne how halo limitação locadet pa ia quarto ida det quarto seselo kau sabe meti para nyebele locadet quarto ida nebe maka how asang fokus banyak ne para how belatene nini yang manera ka behavior husi nini attacker serade ihane service nebe mak by low and medium interaction mak exemplo ansa usa kori ne halali by SSH nomos telnet agora quando ba high interaction honeypot ne hane sang problemas umaida mas be hal umada ho fake ho la nebe la loss mas umada hane sang otum soke nini yang risco ka o nini yang precisa tem ser ia conhecimento dia para halamos hane sang ho halo sa umada nebe maka la loss ne depois idata makane kari kono attacker ne maka hatene karta kidane hani pot high interaction system depois sistema nebe maka ni hatene otona anto significa niemos bertão fali de sistema nebe maka loss ne idane exemplo ansang establishment with service enable nebe service nebe maka enable ne idane o insato deploy hani pot ne na foto por exemplo attacker ni acesso livre internet by firewall agora a internet itu sebel tahu livre se firewall ne para bele kari kono firewall kan nyebel prevene gele wahira kono ya malicious attacker por exemplo skill injection DNS ya rule ni nebe firewall ne nyebel block dia mas quando ia outside si external si firewall niya atau usahan internet ni bele fo dalam banyak perbel tama ida tahu maka ida tahu iha internal lang internal infrastruktur itu ini nane por exemplo sang ida tahu iha basic switch ini nane taman ini port mo se liga by switch depois beto hala port forwarding no so seltang ida ni função para quando acontece sang threat insider kari kona hasang ia por exemplo ia ataque rumah mebe langsung seliur usilarang yang atau ia honeypot narasi antes nya tama ia sistema real ne sistema ne memang loss ne ni se detecta uluk mas sistema ne memang real ne tama ia honeypot narasi nya nak loke vulnerable ne para bela atrai attacker ser ne memang karak estraga ka tama bai te sistema ne memang loss ne idane asang on sapato deploy honeypot ne ia eksternal, nomos internal. Agora ni skenario husi honeypot terasi. Idane honeypot kori ne ini honeypot fokus uli baiha SSH o telnet nya. Nih so fut exemplo ida attacker wahira konya tu tama bai sistema ida ni halo scanning. Então ia scanning ne ni detecta kata ia port ruan ne memang nak loke. Mas agora iha honeypot nerasi ini yang port los mak ida korkinur ne. Então ia detecta wahira kono port SSH 2 ida 22 ne memang nak loke ne. Então ni koko atau halo brute force ou logging via sistema ne. Ida ne exemplo hansa sistema ne usa Linux server. Amabe ita nuda na security analyst on sapa ita ta analisa iha attacker ne ita acesso livre se SSH ne mesmo ita customize ya por exemplo ita muda ter bahia 21212 para labele seste husi port nebe maka vulnerable bayihanen. Idane software nebe maka bayihane port narasi kona baya por exemplo ba kategoria SSH nya ne usa kauri au kipo idane software software mesa open source det depois itabel download iha GitHub tamai nama completo kera kona ba database nya por exemplo sang ia ataka rumah kona ba ataka kona betane sang MySQL injection anta bele usa hane port narang MySQL hane port di ono mos ba LSS port indiane ne halai ba LSS log test yang kibana indiane quando hane port tira ba webnya maka glassp kari kono sa ita kar koko ia hane port tira ba ya WordPress nya maka WordPort ne ba ya Drupal nya ba CMS Drupal nya hane sang Drupal nomos ba service maka wahira kono ita kar fokus ba ia DDoS ne distributed denial of service ne Nete bele usa DDoS port. Nomos ia dunia. Ia tang kona ba honeypot deployment. Idane composto si honeypot por exemplo kipo, kauri, ia larane ne ia honeypot ne bema ka completo laranto. Por exemplo sa community network community honey network biasa bolu CHN nia ia honeypot larang barak nomos modern network modern honey network nomos ia tanah tipot nene ia ninia port ne memang nak loke barak por exemplo la sita karak hala scanning ba ia sistema balu wahir ko tare ninia port nak ne memang nak lot kedan bele mo sansang sistema nebe memo usamos ser usa tipot ne kari kono ida tama kono ba kategori ba USB ninya ne narang ghost ne kari kono hasa por exemplo ia malu ita karak detecta malware nebe maka ia infected ba ita ninya haris rumah ka enta ita usa USB dane para bele atrai fale hacker rumah para bele tama fale ba USB ne rasi exploit ida ta kona ba honey tokens ne kanari tokens ne sang kari kono iha ataka rumah ne maka nya ataka antang ida ne lans for report pa ia bele lius itene email bele lius mus lius itene yang numero ne maka kita for notification tokens ida ne exemplo o caso ne maka au apresenta bane Irane hafuti husi EPNI Community Handnet Project tambah hal kolaborasi share sabet reach ho Mr. Adline yane fokus lu ba iha timur ne maka ataka ba iha sensor ne ma tahu iha parceiro ba iha EPNI Community Handnet Project ne antes ne hoto introduce to kono ba EPNI Community Handnet Project ne hari ia 2017 ia parceiro maka husi Australia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Bhutan, Samoa, nomos seltan. Kari kan por exemplo sa ita husi parte ISP ke operador sa nabe maka ia interesse patu deploy honeypot. Temos bel halo kolaboração ho sira EPNI kini ne. Ida ne exemplo da husi atake nabe maka ataka ba sensor nabe tahu ya spesifik ni ne. Idane ser fokus lus baia core-nya, honeypot core, nebe maka ataka baia port 22 ho telnet-nya 23. Ne usi timur ne ataka baia rasam seruk ne. Next. Ia ISP ia ISP numos ho operador sebalu ho ninya IP hat sura usi hautina ida quase sirataka o modelo brute force by sensor cerne. Então a IP cerne wahir kona ataka bara kona emahalo report. Next. Idane username maka ser usa ba ataka iha honeypot nebe maka ya spesifiknya nih sensor nebe matau nih username sira usa mak barak liu maka root depois segundo mak ida 3 4 5 next depois kona username maka sira usa na maka nih ataka baya manini yang sistema nih maybe capture ya hane potu si sensor nebe ya spesifiknya nih next Aidane usa ohira hau tamba ia IP balo nebe ma hau blog dia tamba ne usi usa IP Timor-Leste ia na ba hau fut IP da hau halo tama ba sodan.io ia na ba detekta kata IP dan ne ni usa router microtik desculpa depois o win box né honya port nebe maka tudo na ba. Next, depois IP ni rasi, wahira kon hau usa fal by virus total, significa kata iha nova antivirus sira detecta kata idanemo sanesang malicious IP. Aidane la significa kata operador ne maka o ema rumah nebe clients nebe usa IP usi internet usi operadornya maka ataka balai belemos ia itaninia computador ka o sistema rar balu nebe mag ema compromise dia ia infected ba malware anta sira usa irane para bele halo ataka fal ba ia seselo kliniang ne next irane abuse APD ni hatur kona ba informação kona ba IP nebe maka sira halo ataka bane atau yana ba ia laos de tia ia para kono mag report kono ba IP ni rasi us Timor ni niane dia na ba dia kategoria brute force by port 22 awal irane ikus ba benefícios hane port ni rasi hane port ni função para detecta antes atut baia sistema ni memang real ne wahira ni to tama baitin sistema dan real ne ita tenona para tebele aprende método ou técnica nem bem usa para bele prevene para defender itu ni yang sistema de loss real ne depois idana itu bela tene kona ba attacker behavior ni yang lalau ne usa attacker ne para bele analisa para bele usa para método nos táctico hoje nemos itu bele heta informação para bele provide ita by security reason yang para te bele improve ita ni yang segurança ne rasi depois susida hanipot ne rasi informação ne mita heta ita bele fahe leu si formação treinamento rumah para bele fo ita ni yang security personal kona ba possibilidade usi attack ne rasi next ya makanya tahun informação hone apresentação ne bema kau bele apresenta bane Cari dia perguntas ka obrigado
dia mau Flavio obrigada Barak pela faheona conhecimento com a banitor escrito ami husuna fati mau Flavio tola fati na fati oi ami convida mau Zedias dali datang at bel mai oi o dia entrega Tahu tu ni bahasa Limang. Obrigada, Mang Fabio. Tuir mai itatama baiha opening mic or lightning talks. No how se entrega ba itane moderadora mana beti hane.
Boa tarde, ba colega Sirahoto. Good afternoon, everyone. Ita iha lightning talks nebe ke lo ke open season question and answer Husi speaker serbe mau kuliah tiana kare kolega sira karak ia perguntas bela super ia sesawi dane bela usi perguntas depois question serne se hatan husi speaker serbe mak oing halona apresentação des oing santo agora awal we are opening a question and answer to everyone to answer to question anything that they need to carry to the speakers, to the presenter that today, this morning they already present and be ready to answer all the questions. And this is an opening questions to everyone. Thank you.
Manabeti, obrigado, Barak. With honor, we'd like to invite Maung Abraham, Maung Fabio, and Mr. Awal to have a seat in the front. So, and Mount Jemris, please come and have a seat in the panelist.
Mount Fabio also, and we may Miss Senor Agustino from TIC. Oh, he left already, and then maybe from the government for the MTC for Mount Fabio may answer if the question about the TICs. Maybe you know a little bit about TICs, and then because Senor Agustino is not here, maybe you can answer something that you know related to that. Thank you. Cari colega Siratu husu perguntas, bele mai hamri kene apresentanaran husinebe ho perguntas. Obrigada. Mr. Awal, maybe we will use Tetun a lot. So if the question about yours, maybe with English, but with the others, we prefer to speak in Tetun. Thank you. Yes.
Please don't shy. We are networking to each other, so anything that we have on mind, you can talk now. It's our group is to share knowledge to each other and help each other to overcome any issue maybe we have. So it's open to all to speak, to have a question, to do some suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, boa tarde. Good afternoon. Ano pergunta by Ma'am Fabio. Karik oing ano sang kuliah na.
Disculpa, bele hato naran antes.
Disculpa. Anaran Salustiano Martins, ako si Timor-Leste. Ako karaghusuba Ma'am Fabio. Ano sang oing mensiona na kono ba hanin pod. Karik idahalo ite implementa ia servidor ano sang Linux ia host service nebe barak. Ni impacto bahaya performa ne hansa. Karik ita implementa utba service nebe barak ia servidor ida. Karik ni fo impacto bahaya performa rumah. Obrigado.
Kegiatan, ita perguntas primeiro tolu, bae manain tolu primeiro, depois hatang si speaker sira, O tu tema kita lo que fali perguntas tolutan. Cada ema orsida perguntas ema ida la to minuto tolu. Sada tem que kuliah iha minuto tolu nya larang la bela liudan né parita fo tempo basir selu que você pergunta. Obrigada.
Ok, bem. How Nara Marfilho, how si Comissão de Função Pública. How na pergunta iha rua. Primeiro ba Mão Fábio. How si daw aprende buat barak relacional ho hanipot. Maybe how curioso itu ang kona ba Mão Fábio ni apresentação. Karik how karak hatene dia kliutang. Mão Fábio karik elabora dia kliutang iha assunto. Exemplo, o inseita tu decide itene posição hanipot ne iha em termos itania ready. Tamba ita hatene katak lógica usi ready de idania usi instituição ketak ninia maneira desenho lá nessa. O inseita tu decide exemplo em contexto interna no externa. Hodi decide hanipot ninia posição iha belos. Iha na fating relacional assunto ida ne. Kari kita implementa hanipot no itahalo belhalo kala integração ho itania tool security sira selu kanesang exemplo IDS ou IPS mais ou menos ninia conceito básico itu ambai dane par bele loka mini hanoi by implementação assunto siransa ne. Segundo niang it's about Mr. Awal presentation. You make a good presentation. You look at our network, our infrastructure in Timor-Leste. So you find some vulnerability or something like that. So can you recommend us, especially for the government, to make a good decision or make a good infrastructure to handle the vulnerability that you find in your presentation? Okay, thank you.
Ito lo kita menaida. Sorry, Awal. We open for 3 questions. After that, then you can answer. Thank you. And we need one more person to ask. Anisang ohing maong JDS di antena lalika mo ito aprende ho tu si lahatene makita aprende nenek perhatene odi ajuda malu. Kari kolega sira ia perguntas nebema kohin maun sira hato ona ia kara katene liutan o ia sugestão rumah bele hato agora tempo maluk serniam. Antalosona, how resumo fil falecene pergunta sohin, oin colega na inro si salos tetenian, ni uso ba Mão Fábio, uso ko na bahani potne, implementa ia Linux, ansa ni impacto ba performance be servidor sira. E depois segunda husi Mão Marcelino si função pública, nia mos uso hotu ba Mão Fábio, nia tu uso katak iha ididak nia instituição nia ready ididaknya ready ninian nature lah nesan entang o insaita tu implementa hanipot ne nia tau iha podi responde ba internal o eksternalnya nia tau iha nia tu instala iha nebe nia ida nia tu responde ba ida tritu si eksternal ou tritu si internal ba hanipot nen e depois so pergunta segundo tang he asked about he asked to Senhor Awal about the good infrastructure that can implement in Timor-Leste to tackle all the vulnerability. Thank you.
Ya, masalah obrigado para perguntas nabe maka usumai haune. Kona bahani pot nene ita harela wahira ba equipamentos ninia ne. Nia bele instala ia Raspberry Pi ou qualquer servidor ou computador nabe maka laho ninia high performance ne, ou capacidade bot ne. Qualquer equipamentos nabe maka liga ba ia laptop ka ou Raspberry Pi mas belut kera. Agora depende ita atrai attacker ne bai da nabe nia. por exemplo da cara hateneret bahia ini yang konaba nya takamaya i SSH enta itolok ita instalaret honeypot der baik kori ini ne depois ida magane honeypot ne rasik labeli instala bahia ita servidor real ne iya ita tem set halo instala liusi raspberry pi ki ainda para bel atrai de depois bel liusi virtual usa VM instala te hotu depois husikilas nere kari kono laia até que rumah tama então itu husikas ne kari tama então depois ia honeypot rasik sir hal configuração tena ia neba nia isolado na ini yang akhir tama até que tama mos ni selebes ni tama i farti na nere mas ia bara kona por exemplo se te usa low interaction honeypot né hasa ida se usa core né ida hareret bahia ataque bahia porto 2 ou 3 né então ia né bara kona maka até que tama mas nyata né ni tama tu depois ni hare yang oh afinal idane que aparece que honeypot ida então sai falei mas ni idane maka em babalu em hal file sistema ki ko ainda mas ho sistema nebe maka atama ta file rumah nebe maka sintesan confidencial mas afinal file ne la confidencial lah para atubela atrai nia para ni curioso para ita karatene ni método ko oh yang malu rumah nebe maka nyatu raya na bane idane maka be responde bahia Monsalus di kono mau ini kono ba kare kita bel tahu ya eksternal kare ou internal ini ne depende mas hahu primeiro ne maka italo research alai tama honeypot rasik ko hira kono itataw ya fatin nebe maka sinti hansa asa integrity ka o confidentiality husi iten sistema rasik ne labele prefere dia kliu maka ita tahu seliur ini ne kare kita ini yang firewall iya então ita bel tahu ya tahu lara mas ita husi kelet mas ita tem ser monitoran monitoran mas por exemplo de usa modern network honeypot ne yan ba ita bel katete ni hateten ini yang traffic por exemplo ya rumah na maka teka rumah na maka takabane no sa por exemplo tipo ne musarasi ni visualization usa Elasticsearch log test em kibana, ni dashboard em kibana, ni boleh detecta hus ni usa map real map ne, para tene da IP ne hus sources destinations ne be, ne me hau ansa fo recomendação bahaya, kokolai por exemplo instala buat kikuang por exemplo sekori, bahaya Linux ne be maka laos tama ita ni sistema real ne, ya maka ne hau boleh responde, kari mau ngobrol o
dia how la kuliah kono ba be uhin la kuliah la sa presentador kono ba honeypot mai be asa pernah tuir training ituang involve iha honeypot Indonesia então sampai dalam rumah sa saya ituang kuliah kono ba honeypot ini iha ini objektif ne bele rua ida honeypot ini hanya buat jebakan ida deception jebakan ida sistemanya desenho sedemikian rupa ne para ema kuan ida nina objektif mana memperlambat ema attackerne atau atakaba itu real system atau production system sira jadi memperlambat nina tempo ida seluk sistemanya itu desenho sedemikian rupa ketika ema atakamai ia sistema ida mau Fabio temine rekor hotu ninia activity sira ihalara. Jadi, por exemplo, ita bot sira halo trade model, nanti ita bot sira yang, oke, trade-nya mai husi nebe, mai husi internal ga, mai husi eksternal. Se eksternal, ita bot sira tahu ihawan so uine, ne par hacker sira kono ataka mai karik, mai nia lakuntin nia tempo barak, iha honeypot nia laran, ita bot nudar cyber security specialist ide iha neba, ita bot monitorin nini aktivitas. Oke, nia kono hack tamation iha sistema nini larang aktivitas saida makne halo. Nia halo lateral movement ga, nia dump be halo data exfiltration rumah ga, nia halo saida na ba. Ita depois ita bot bele monitoring ina ba. Se nia tama mai pasti nia iha IP address ne kala. Ita bot bele blokir be nini IP address. Depois hansa usa Elasticsearch ne atau visualize Aktividade sira ne bekin ya halo. Ane sa modelo treat map sira itabot sira hare ya vendor sira musu en banen. Sira ni hanipot sira sensor husi hanipot sira nemak visualize en bae ne ba. Nebe, por exemplo, hanesa APT, APT ne mai ho evolution behavior ida ke fong. Então APT sira ne kono tama mai halo saida, hanipot ne mak uza biasa uza ho di record ho tu ida ne. Mas dia kliu separa hanipot ne husi sistema sira production ne. Atunune labele afeta ba ya sistema sira production. Mais ou menos ida ne mak ia tam buat seluk ne bekau haluang karek bele. Hau bele aumenta da halo. Okay, hanesan kipo, por exemplo asane, kipo hotang uhin kuliah kona ba hanipot kona ba web nia database nia ida selcelu. Por exemplo, itabot iha hipotesa ida, iha hanuing ida katak. Bye-bye nene ema atak itabot nia SSH, telnet. Então itabot pasang ida SSH ne enba, telnet enba, nia tama mai, nia kono atak nia oi, hau hetan ton SSH. Então halo brute force, usa hidra, usa saida atak ba enba. Então enba mak itabot bele record ini aktivitas sira enba. Ano yan sane? Obrigado ida nema bele aumenta ta.
Obrigada, Maung Fabio, Maung Brown. Salah-salah uing be kolega Cesar Tino usu kata hanipot ne bele integra ho IDS ho IPS kala. Karek niya uing pergunta sidan sane.
Sim, bele. Por exemplo, nessa ia honeypot balu usa snort tu, incluído no snort. Por exemplo, nessa epine community honeynet project pun nessa, incluído tu ideas nara suricata, yeah, include also with the ideas interesting detection system suricata, yeah. Nebele, yeah, maybe quase honeypot é quase open source. Então, ideas nebe mak kita tu involve na vamos tem que ser ideas nebe mak open source tu. Ya, nemos ansia, por exemplo, PFC somos incluímos ya hanipot laramos ya security union nos anesa nyemos ya hanipot ya. Ya, makner ya, obrigado.
Obrigada, Mão Fábio. Now it's your turn, Mr. Awal.
I think you already nicely covered the honeypot part because I understand the English words. But rest of the Tetum language, it's I got that you answered already. So honeypot I might not cover much. It's just about you pretend yourself as an attacker. You need to know their behavior. You know there are some security agencies. They send people to mix with the gangs to know the gang's behavior and report to the office what they do at night, what are their next plan, and things like that. If you want to know, you have to mix with them. It's a similar thing. You keep this room, but you keep those doors open, but then put a camera, and you leave somewhere. That way you know how many people comes in this room, tries to come, even that they don't have anything, but they want to go in. Why they want to go in, when they want to go in, and how many times they try. Whether they try this door more or this door more, and that way you can build a secure place, right? And that's basically honey pot. And then when you have multiple honey pot, it's a network of honey pot. It's called honeynet. The question that I got is the presentation when I did in the morning, and I identified some opportunities for improvement. So this is not the vulnerability is the word. I don't want to use it, but it's a opportunity to improve. So that's a good question. Thank you so much for putting that. I actually already recommended some of the things that you can do when I was presenting. This task is not for the government specifically. If you see my some of the points, it's basically for the network engineers. If I don't mention government, that would be better, because next time I might not come in at the immigration. There might be some issues. I mean, that's a joke, but there are some responsibility that government can take and then can help with the policies and maybe awareness, maybe funding, or this type of work. But actually the real work needs to be done by the engineers. Some of the slides you saw that Timor-Leste did good. Even though, when there is a small country, there is limited resources, very dependent on the neighboring countries, this type of challenges makes the technology to grow less faster than other countries. That's totally real, and we all understand it. But also, the engineers here who are working needs to keep an eye on the newer technologies, new discussions happening in the world, so they can also deploy. For example, there is a RPKI slides in my presentation, and there is a IPv6 slide on my presentation. These two, mostly related to the network engineers. The government did not, mention that you cannot do RPKI. They did not say you cannot deploy IPv6. Even if they force you to do that, if you don't know, if you don't have the expertise, it will be a pressure to you. So there is a limited action from government side in order the network to implement IPv6 or RPKI. There was a slide which was I focus those slides more is the root DNS instances. I was telling that root DNS is not here in this country. That means for new queries, your query, if it goes to root, it has to go a neighboring country. And now let's say if at some point the submarine cable is down, this query may not take the submarine path, may need to take satellite or any other method. It might even create some more latency. Now, the government, I don't think any government will stop you to get a root DNS instance in this country. If they stop you, you can then convince, and this is the forum. If you invite next year TLNOG2, if you invite the right person in this forum, then they will, because here they're not talking about one company. They're talking about the whole internet industry. You are here, whole internet industry. When you are together telling about a challenge, that's a real challenge that the government officials might address. So if you think that how I get a root DNS, it's basically in most of the cases it's free. It's free. If you see the 13 operators, you see some of them gives you the equipment even sent to your country with their payment. They will not ask you to pay for the shipment. The equipment will be, but what is the requirement? Requirement is you have to keep it powered on. You need to have internet connectivity, stable because this root instance will always talk to its parent instance, like who is the primary. It needs internet. And if it is not getting those prerequisites, it will be difficult for this instance to run properly. Even if you have it, and the benefit is not actually realized by anybody, right? So this is something that a little bit bigger operator may think of. For example, Timor Telecom or Viettel Timor-Leste or Telkomsel. They can, or Sakomtel, they can think of contacting to those operators who maintain the root DNS and see, hey, you can say, hey, we want to host one of your instances, and we know that you give it to many countries. We don't have, so can we get it? And they will give you their conditions. And these are not very difficult conditions. It should be similar. One of the sponsors, the Packet Clearing House, they also distribute the root DNS. Probably, if I'm not wrong, they might have some equipment. They will send it. That might have the instances in that. Maybe start conversation with them, but they might be giving you they might give you a pointer to another person if they cannot do it. Okay. The good thing that I covered is that the CCTLD, the .tl, has a very early, like in 2013, they signed with the DNSSEC, which is good. And then now they are probably in progress of moving it forward with the child zones to be signed. That's what they might need, where government might need some action. They might need to set some timeline saying that, I think .tl is maintained by the ministry here, so probably they might need to ask the technical team that we have a timeline of that date, maybe next year or 2 years later, we want our .tl child zones to be signed and things like that. Again, let's say nog.tl, let's say .tl is signed. Now nog.tl needs to be signed, and it's nog.tl's technical team's responsibility, and this time it's not the government. So it is something like a shared responsibility. Yeah. And then I also covered some of the slides that says the DNSSEC validation, RPKI, ROV. RPKI is one of the topics that people discuss nowadays in the NOGs. It started long ago, but you will see that the validators needs to be installed, and then your routers needs to be configured, so the router can decide which route is not valid, which route is valid, and things like that. So this part completely a responsibility of the network operators. I will not say that you are super excited now, go tomorrow, deploy it, and check, it's done. Not like that. It might need some plan, need some permission from the seniors. It is a slow process, always, everywhere. But I hope, since you asked the question, means you have like an intention to work on those things. So yeah, keep this discussion going on. If you have challenges, reach out to somebody whom you believe that might be able to help. And now, because you met together, you know some of the expertise, who is working on this certain topic, which is working on that topic, and you share. And that is the whole idea of having a national network operators group. This event is only for 4 days. How about the rest of the year? You don't talk to each other rest of the year. You don't call them, and yeah, don't do that, because rest of the year it's about the messaging, or you can do emailing, reaching out to other colleagues. You can do that. And forum conversation on the forum, keep it going on the virtual sphere. For example, the mailing list, or the Facebook group, or WhatsApp group, where you have a challenge, post it there. There might be somebody listening to that, and he or she might have an answer for it. Could I answer your question? Thank you.
Okay, Fidel, consegue ya. So how to aumento itu andit kata ya parte engineer uniane atu aplica con aba security ne iha quando ita kulia con aba network resilience ya lubu kida mak engineer une bela aplica ne ba ama ya ne bana ita bela dan ia vulnerability assessment audit nemos teke aplica ne ba I ne ba bela aplica teke ne sa kulia penetration test ia network security mas lubu kida bele ia layers lubu kida mak bele aplika ia plataforma asa por exemplo ia ISP ia parte ISP nya ia network nian por exemplo asa atu halo detection earlier detection saya mak kita bele instalahan sa fena daw kan sa por exemplo ami tui dia apricot nian ia Bangkok ia ne bania presenta sa Barry Grain and Roland ia implementa konaba ni shadow server idane acumula con aba instructions ira hotu ida pues hanesan engineers itabele analisa kada behavior sirane depois itabele halo hansa drop halo blockea ba idane iha itania parte redinian nebe ia parte engineers ia engineers network ini ia lubu kida mak bele implementa con aba ia lubu kida ateto end user sira musaida mak sira bele halo kerja buat sirane Além de danet temos ia training staff awareness kona ba end user nian. Sila tem ita dalam rumah sana. Ita hanesan engineer mas ita turia komputer na sade. Hanesan ita engineer sila ida. mas dalam rumah ita tu phishing email rumah mas ita la comprende saya nak phishing email sirane ema manda email mai dalam ema ransom te mai mas ita klik ba nia tamateo na ita na sistema tamba ita nia be resiliency ne fraku ita nia antivirus buat sirane iha larane ya corporative sirane fraku antau nia tamato balaran nia halo enkripsi data sirane ne ita loke data dadus la dia kona naimba ransom sira por exemplo nia hus o tenke selu fali $1 milhão dia makau foi kode bao para bel foti fali loke fali one data ne então asa nuda engenheiro ida laos engenheiro des mesmo que nia leigos nia ladung compreenda ne mas ia best practice mak kita bele halo exemplo mak seda hanya sam backup in data ne best antes kita to kuliah kona ba layer sirane ne exemplo ida simples para kita bele halo para kita bele salva ulu kita ne dadu sirane ida ne makansa ohin ka kuliah kona ba ya parte implementação ia nível de redes nia ne mas ohin most importante lu mak ni kuliah kona ba CESER National Computer Incident Emergency System response team CESER National Incident Computer Emergency Response ne tenke iha agora ita ne nação ne sila kia agora ita expectativa ida kata nação tenke bolo engenheiro sida ita Timor tenke iha humildade ba buat silang sane tenke iha unidade tenke iha solido nudar engenheiro tenke sane isada ma kita bele hato hanesan sugestão positiva sida ba governo para tenke duni implementa ida tamba ida ne iha nação seluk ne existe ia buat toto na kona ba ida ne ate gan sita kuliah kona ba NOG Network Operators Group Timor-Leste ita foi hari buat ne mai be ia nação seluk ne existe kleuron halo evento da Asia da sanuluana hanesan ID nok SG nok BD nok Bangladesh nok antau hanesan ida ne hanesan meio sira para ita bele ser conhecimento ba malu hasan kuliah kona nasional CESER ne atu hari ne para kare kan saya kaju rumah kona ba segurança ida kona ba atake kona ba itania dados ne o dados kona ba governo o estado ne mak importante lu antau bele passa la lais informação sine ba organização ne para bukan ne solução la lais ida ne makore asa pelo menos meios ida simplesmente para ita bele halo ita bele halo para nesas halo resiliency ba itania ba digital ida ya pa sidane maknere yelo.
Thank you, Mr. Awal and Maung Fabio, Maung Abraung and Maung Jermis. Atu halo simplificarit. O hingan isang Maung Jermis Bonjimi o hinga tete yang kata o hing tuir Maung sejal tinuhusu kata atu halo infrastruktur dia klitam para atu bele salva itania dadu si itania nasaung ne nisang o hing Maung diantena ida mak ita precisa iha grupo ida CSRT para nia grupo idane nia identifica o halo network ya Timor laran tombak nia ma monitoring nia ma bocerne nia ma HTE nia ma ya inisiativa atau resolve kasus serne e depois sekarik nia monitoring mai tambat rumah ya providers o ISP providers serne nia bela notifica la lais kata kiminian provider sira ia isuhan sane ursida imnia bela feta bay imni end user sira então tim ida nemak ita precisa ia ia tena nasaung hodi bele minimiza itanian atakan nebe mamayusiliur brigada ia agora dadau kita ia itanian gesi dausi sekomtel bem-vindo bem-vindo mai workshop ne io brigada e agradece tebes ba ita bot sernian gratidão atumai hene no mo suporta atividade evento idane brigada lo que fali sessão question yan kare kiha balo karakuso manazela obrigada. First female
Oke, obrigada barak ba tempo. Hanya naran Felizmina Zela Costa Coit, hahusi apnik. Hau diretamente baya hanya pergunta. Ihane hanya pergunta iha rua. Ida kona ba cyber security. no hafier katak perguntai dane laos det baya emaida nabe hafier katak nang hirak nabe maturi oim bele foto nang hiraknya hanoim. Primeiro cybersecurity niya makanesang itare baya notícia foi na laisne quando ba autoridade de comunicação foi licença ba Starlink nomos Timor-Leste niya cabo submarino nebe se funciona tempo basic. Agora minha pergunta, husi aspecto cibersegurança uinsa itanya hare kono ba idane. No ya segundo, especially by Mr. Awal, during 3 days of internet routing workshop, in your point of view, are we ready to face the challenge, especially in internet routing, or do we need to improve on that area? Thank you. Obrigado, Barak.
Kare que se luktan, a mí se lo que va preguntas.
Thank you very much. This is a question maybe represent some issue that we face now. It's to Mr. Awal. Let's say I am ISP, I have multi-homing. How do I do the traffic there so it can have automatic backup and my. Thank you.
Yes, luktan. Mau ngabili.
Okay. Dia wanya tuju pergunta me saware mau sira mai apresenta dia mai wansa individual la representa institusi. Kemudian TLNOG se la halo gap sem fronteira. Né be botire terian sentido nacionalista. Tem que how dia. Bom, we will need your advice in APNIC because the majority of the public IP we get from APNIC. This is one of the responsibility and our obligation to follow the rules and the policy. Itu ni traffic si sama kas, hanesang ema engineer, hanesang ema nebe maka involve direta iya proses cerebral idi da klahon ini instituição maybe TLNOG saya hana sa edukação ida lebe maka halibor ISP halibor comunidade acadêmica on kule kono bahoni net APNIC Foundation mas apoio o projeto ida iha Indonesia o Swiss University que halo expand bot positivo tebes. How daruma for challenge by here fundação sira opere tu sira audiência né opportunidade ia hela maybe how we can take this opportunity. Everywhere you have grants. I know that we have some difficulties. Ita ya dificuldades daruma ita tu halibur malu maybe kan halibur malu atau hola de server ida rack ida router sira switch microtik sira folim barato bedal rumah ita labrana tu investe. Awate te bebek na challenge ba operador sira e obrigação social corporate ISP sira social corporate para ajuda a comunidade sira para ir de catubele desenvolver. Por exemplo, em Tatahalo on spot cybersecurity response. Ne los dever governo de a foi exemplo de Indonesia de tirar lebe mamakas debes mo se hacks ni sistema tamba seda ia gap haluhan te buat tidak gap ni dan kata kau ni suatu sama bele karena ni operador na bama bele karena ni TLNOG bele saya hanya parceiro sira recomendação advice bahaya governo buat nebema ita detecta nema usu aproveita desculpa o tempo tuang ita haluhan te ba gap ita haluhan te dan kata de how serviço ba instituição dan confidencial lebih how lebih fahe how experiência how lebih fahe buat nebema ya maybe ita bele build ita ni infrastructures o que fatin dia kira ita investe muito lori computador ira botruma batang mutu kela ba oi hotete ba NGO sira ime bel halo NGO ni community ira wifi infrastructures tau iminia data warehouse lebe ma bela serba public entre NGO sira the simplest things tem que preparado também tama ba Asia the network traffic will be a big issue so italah hanoing halo na national security national gateway there is a lot of things that we need to be prepared early Farkeza balu ita tem reconhecer how dia halo assessment para Timor bela recurso haure lu kira maybe tahu hamuto hotel nok ninia hamutuk ne naruma ISPC atau serviço hamutuk mos gulo mora sene hasne se ha for informação balu competição mercado ne ladung seguro operador itu hawatene companhia processo para ita tu implementa national gateway operador ida karua lakoi tama sa I was question I don't want to mention this operator here I was questioned why our public IP that are registered for Timor-Leste but are using in other countries the place were allocated in the other countries nesse bele cria problema ita quando ita trace por exemplo IP ni nação ita registro para Timor-Leste mas bem ni usa i nação selo mas bem quando ni ataca traffic rumah ni usa fala IP ni liur fatin liur geolocation ni fatin selo juridicamente ema ulu moras IP ni usa Timor ni na mes ni geolocation ni ia tia fali harai selo ini blok 4 ke 5 kedas imagina tama routing sai baliur ni los local lá ita nem den local mas bem ni routing tables ni bate que scale e te fali liur lá ba nesse cenário ida lebih tabolo national security threat response ser ma kita ni responsabilidade ita bele Allah onen comunidade sira barak ISP sira bele brani investe beste vacinia negócio para o investimento mas bem investimos baia educação processo sira nebe ma kita ia ansonha o dia apnik foundations for oportunidade para ita talo research ba case study sira infrastructures wifi internet routing ona ainda nem haunia intervenção grupo cyber sira mos patene governo ia espera kataktina oin national cyber security law framework ne bele implementando então bele ta responde sa answer ne ho didier
Obrigada, Mão Abílio. Mão Abílio, desculpa, a ordem é sugestão ou perguntas? Obrigada, então, o Simão Abílio nian solução, baita itu. Então, itaba ensure season. Oi ngusi jela ba cyber security nian karik Mão Fábio o Mão Abraão e Mão Jimmy bele hatang pergunta sini. I believe that you still remember the questions. If not, I will repeat the question.
Dia que a Marcela obrigado para perguntas pertinentes. Asa yang mencionar kata que how si parte governo mas how mai la representa si governo how mai nu dar sama técnico ida ya neme how respondemos nu dar sa how ni perspektiva neme hareba yo tema técnico ni ya pronto wahira ita kuliah kono bastar li ita hari uluk bani ni yang benefício nilai tama ia nação nebe avançado mos Starlink ne emo usa tu tama ini yang benefício makasih dah maka area nebe maka labele cobre bahia infraestrutura telecomunicação nia Antônio bele e depois nia móvel nia bele usa careta mos ita bele usa internet ona ita forro narkata kita lori bateria nebe bele ia eletricidade ahia ita bele usa internet ona e dan ini benefício dah agora ita refal bani segurança lolos nene nyeting seria buat mereka dah boleh air station ia Timor ne pa antes nya tu ba ia nação liurnya karek nyeting seliu tela ia Timor ne mas neste momento ita serau ia as air station karek nya karabele usa antonio halo cooperação ho siro paror sa demi mag ia bersama Timor-Telecom ou Telemor ya makin dia tahu boleh respon dia mas ainda quando vai de segurançanya tava Starlink mus ia ini ia larang ia firewall rasi ora depende ba ida nebe mag usane ya makin dia obrigado parece mau orang bilang minta itu
ita kuliah quando vai Starlink ita foi terminar mas ita sirne mas balon det masih usane balon det mas foi usane nebe hono idane kan connect direta ba satellite então ida makne security awareness ini mak importante kada individu orsi segurança ni ihne limang jadi se tabot usa hasa bai ihne be ida ne segurança ni ida ida ni limang nebe ansa training kuliah kono ba uinsa mahalo meng in the middle attack phishing sirne email sirne itabot sirne device mungkin iha be device ida orsida be Starlink ini ane kar configuração alat sasang ida itabot sir loritur ni ana makida ne kontrol ne depois ni encryption sirane encryption se iha ne ba ni fitur encryption rumah ne be ke versi phone be asegura dia clue itabot sir hili ida segurança ida dia ida phone ne awanui ida ne det kar segurança ne orsida ia satelit ni ia itne lima mas kuliah kono ba data sir ne be ke ia officialnya mungkin ida buat ne iha on premise ita bot sir bele nebe ke kritik lu bele hiri udah on premise mus bele anu idane dit kare idane husiau tamba how mesti dok uza sasang idane neba tu kuliah nine segurança buat nebe ke ya how ne bayang-bayang hela ne kala nepsi mungkin monji me bele oh Mr. Awang maybe you talk about elaborate a little bit about the security of Starlink to compare with our current networks.
I think not only, sorry, for the question, I think not only the Starlink, but the submarine cable that also in Timor-Leste.
I just prepared myself for the rest of the questions, and this one, it's very difficult for me to compare this Starlink. I have never worked with Starlink before with this system, but in general, you use satellite connectivity, which is controlled by a different company. If they're, for example, Starlink, government might need to have a regulation process, how they will allow them to business in this country. Because eventually their ground station is here, but their company might be in somewhere else. So security-wise, many countries are using it already. So that means it's already in operation, and definitely those countries already have some sort of procedures against any unwanted, situation to tackle with. Countries like hilly countries like these Timor-Leste, where there are a lot of hills, people lives like sparse, not in same place. In those countries, fiber optic to everywhere is difficult. So sometimes it might be useful for some people who is living somewhere very far, and the company does not give connectivity just for one family living in like very far in mountainous areas are difficult to be connected. So microwave links are more popular in those areas. Fiber is easy if the land is flat, easy to deploy. Otherwise, sometimes not very easy to go and do this. So it has its advantage as well. I don't have really much to tell other than this. Security, any security that exists in your network is also exist in those places. So it's not like a special situation where the security is is not that strong on that link, but my link is already strong. It's not like that. I mean, it's connected to internet. Anything that is connected to internet shares the same concern, shares the same set of issues. So yes, and you will be able to understand more when you start working with it. I haven't worked with Starlink connectivity before, so unfortunately I don't have any insight. And if anybody can add that.
Dick, obrigado, Barak. Two things very important. When you kuliah kona ba satellite, no submarine cable. Itu kuliah kona ba Starlink, itu kuliah kona ba TLSC, Timor-Leste South submarine cable system. For example, Starlink ne satelit tidak nya LEO, low Earth orbit. Kerja satelit tidak nya distansia ne basic LEO Terra, bumi. Então, ninya efeito maksaida. Nia latency dia kliu. Low latency is better. Nia latency ne ita kuliah kona ba transferensia data. Transferensia data nia dia kliu. Atau ia diferensia utan ia satelit na ia LEO, ia MEO, no ia GEO. Jadi ia ida nebe distansia basic liu Terra mais ou menos 6.000 quilômetros husi Terra baleten ba satellite. Agora MEO ni husi 7.000 quilômetros até to 14.000 14.000 quilômetros ni distancia. Nebe ni satelit na ihan ni orbit tidak lahan sang. GEO ni dokliu até 42 quilômetros. 42 quilômetros husi Terra ba ne ba. Então, ni diferença mane cada distância quando ida basic liu, ida ia medium, ida ia dock liu, nia efeitos mak konaba latensi ne. Quando latensi bot, nia transferência data kita acesso ba internet ba liu, claro que nia ia speed lah nesan ia ne ba. Ida ne, tem que ia pelo menos ia mais ou menos ia conceito pemahaman itu amba ida ne basic ida ne. Agora itu kuliah konaba TLSC, ida ne mak kita foi nasa. Bahau hanesan engenheiro ida Timoro anida. TLSC ne investimento bain hira imi acompanha governo anterior bain hira halo ida ne. TLSC submarine cable ne investimento único 100% financiado pelo governo Timor-Leste. Na altura ne bane 38,6 milhões de dólares. Investimento único. Idane mak interessante ya ne ba itatu kuliah kona ba idane. Kebijakan, policy, governo importante ba idane. Hanesan oin mau Fabio kuliah. Oke, Starlink nya presensa belemai. Mebe tenke ya kebijakan idane ba. Nyate tambah sada governo tenke haloru ya kebijakan idane ba nya mos ya respeta kona ba operador sira. Kerja hanesan por exemplo, oke Starlink mai mas nia bele opera iha ba area rurais ne ba. Será que itania demanda kona clientes ne, customer ba ida utilização da internet ne, ia area rurais ne mais ou menos asa. Ida ne. Mas nia haula fiar, ba hau pessoalmente, desculpa mas haula fiar kata Starlink se nia bele opera to ya, so ya area rural det. Por enquanto ia ita bele area so internet demanda botliu ya so ya capital det. Ita tem que honesto baitane. Então kebijakan baitan hasas ita nu dari engineer ita sugestão ba estado ba governo ne. Tem que kebijakan ida be fair ba emahoto. Liliu ba operador sila ne be existiona. Ia operador telco rua ia ne Timor Telecom, Telkomsel, no Telemor. Mas be mais mos ia ISP ne be registrado an ISP hira ia national autoridade nacional das comunicações. Tem que iha kebijakan politik nebe dia para labele iha conflitos labele iha perdas ba iha entre operador siane. Ida ne makso hau bele hasa hau fo hasa gambaran ida perspektiva ida pa ita bele hanoi nutu. Obrigado.
Is it the first question?
Yeah, it is the first question. And you can continue with the second question from Mount JDS. You still remember the question?
I remember her question as
Ah,
well.
Senora Jela asked.
And, yeah, so she has a question and then,
No, I think from Senora Jela, it's like to complete the first question, which means that he asked about that, what we have to ask your point of view from us Timorese to face the challenge of the Starlink and submarine.
No, I think she asked after the 3 days of training whether the participants are like now confident and what I feel. What I feel.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no
I was thinking that
just quickly about I'm coming to your point, but that's a very hard question. The hard question you keep for the last one. Okay, so if time permits, then you write the answer. Otherwise, you don't answer. Yeah. So the submarine cable, I hear that you also mentioned, and thanks for that. That it's not about only Starlink, it's also about submarine cable. So I forgot that. So I'll quickly cover in 1 or 2 lines.
About the security.
Yeah. So, you know, the submarine cable that I see at the moment is just only one cable. And it's in only one place. To reduce the dependency on the satellite connectivity, you need to have then the more submarine resiliency here. Just only one cable might have a maintenance, might have, you know, due to some fiber cut, it might be interrupted. Then, you know, you have to rely on another country, maybe through Indonesia or through satellite to other companies. So if it is possible for Timor-Leste to get more, because it's a blessing that you have sea around your country. So in future, if there is a new submarine cable project going on, and there is not only delay, because if you connect it one place, that place might have some problem, and it's like a single point of failure. So might be at some point in another region, could be an option to connect the submarine cable. The more strong connectivity you will have on submarine, you will have less dependency on the other technologies. About the question she asked, I found it really good after 3 days. I'm not 100% sure about the participants, what you feel, but I really felt very good after the day 3 yesterday, because when we started on day 1, I could understood that the knowledge and the expertise level of the participants, the gap is very high. Like somebody may be very expert, some might be just a beginner. But after like 3 days, I found the gap was reduced, and I'm quite confident that you whatever topics we covered, you can now spend more time on those things. But you know, knowing something is not the only thing to deploy a technology in a system, to configure something in a system. When you start working, you will see some new challenges. It could be the vendor's command line that you might not be familiar with. It might be, you know, you don't have access to that device because you probably new to this company. You might need a permission, or sometimes your company is not willing to apply these commands or something like this. So there could be different things, but I would suggest one thing that is important. If you learn something and don't work on that, it's just after 2 months or 3 months, or maybe if you are really very intelligent, it may last 1 year, and then it's as it is. It's again the zero. If you learn something, at least go and check your current configuration in your company, and then if you see some differences, you can then talk to your senior engineers, your colleagues, that I learned something, but I found something here which is not really what I learned. What is the reason behind it? Try to explore. You try to match your current newly learned contents with your settings. You don't need to change anything in your company. You can just compare. And then also we talked about IPv6 on day 1, day 2. if you feel that IPv6 is something you are planning to, that knowledge might be a good thing for you to apply. So I'm confident that, because everybody starts like that, it's actually a common trend. Everybody starts from a training, or somehow they'll know something, and then they gradually feel more confident, and at some point they start working on it. But please don't do it by yourself. And one other important thing, which is very important, if you make a mistake, don't say that this owl from APNIC, that guy told me to do this. Okay? So yes, never tell this. Okay? Yeah. So yeah, make sure that you don't do this. Yeah. And about the question about multi-homing. Also, by the way, anybody wants to add anything? Yeah. So I'll continue with this. The last question. The question about the multi-homing techniques. Basically, multi-homing I didn't cover during the training. Multi-homing means I have at least two paths to go out, or the other traffic to come into my network. So I have two exit points, at least towards two different companies, not in one company. So multi-homing means, let's say I'm an ISP in Timor-Leste. I have one connectivity with Timor Telecom, one connectivity, let's say, with Sacomtel. That means I have two gateways. If one gateway had some issue at some point, I still have the other one to serve, to get my packets exchanged. How we do that? We rely on BGP to do that. And you are now the expert of BGP. Because the training was on BGP and advanced routing, basic to advanced routing. So in BGP, we talked about announcements. I tell something that I know. If I tell this person, then they can send traffic to me. If I tell that person, they will also be able to send traffic to me. Now, if this one goes down, somebody else still know me, so I'm still okay. So that is basic multi-homing. If multi-homing was that easy, like I just said, in 5 minutes or 3 minutes, if that easy, then people won't hire you. It's not that easy. That's why that's the value of engineers. It's not that easy. It depends on many other parameters, but it's just a basic idea. Now, let's say, coming to the point, because I have heard this question again yesterday as well, that I have some challenges with my upstream. This link goes down, but my traffic does not come with this line. So the three entities needs to work together. I mean, two of the upstream provider needs to work with our company to make sure that this actually works. So I have to tell them what I want. They need to configure like that. I need to configure like that. I also need to tell what I want to this company. They will configure like that. And if you have public IP, for multi-homing, it is important you have at least one or two, at least /24 IPs. Because in BGP, you cannot announce anything less than /24. So that's also a requirement. Let's say if you are an APNIC member, or your ISP is a big ISP, they can give you a /24. That's something you can do now with multi-homing. If you want load balancing, which is also related to this concept, and these are very big concepts. I'm summarizing I'm concising my conversation here. If you want this link to be used and also this link to be used, some traffic will come from this side and go this side, and some traffic this side. This is called load sharing. So multi-homing can be 2-3 different scenarios. One is, this is active. This link will never be used as long as this is active. If this one goes down, this link will be used. This is active backup setup. But I will use this one, and I'll use this link as well. So some traffic will go this way, this way. This is called load sharing or load balancing. This is also done with BGP and almost similar scenarios here. So these are some of the techniques that you can do. But remember, if you properly configure, there is no human being needed to make sure when it goes down, traffic comes this way. It will be automatically done. If you feel that this is not going as I wanted, that means something wrong. it's not the device, it's intentionally blocking the traffic. It's probably the configuration is not okay, not properly done. So in future, if you have like more advanced training, we may have like advanced multi-homing kind of workshops as well. But keep an eye on our online trainings, which is free for anybody. Please keep an eye. And also, I yesterday showed you our virtual lab platform. There are some BGP labs which might be useful for you to practice and see how you can do it. But this is mandatory, yes. Sorry, I took
Sorry, Mr. Awang, I'm cutting your talking. Thank you. Our question and answer session is coming to the end. We finish this session. Atau tete ba kolega saya disculpa dalam rumah kuliah barak liu, mai be weng hira ita rona ema kuliah ita prende barak. Ita rona ema kuliah ita prende duke ita ma kuliah. Ita kuliah ita nunca prende, mai be ita rona ema ita prende barak liu. Thank you and
thank you, Mana Betty, and thank you very much to all our honored panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, one round of applause to our panelists.
Ao fofila pade ne Bamana Mary ane sang MC event na brigada.
With respect, I will invite all the panelists to sit back on their seat. Thank you very much.
Dia obrigada barak ba Mana Betty, saya na moderador ba ita ihaloraik ne. No obrigada barak mos ba panelista na ihat. Tuirmai ita tama ona ba sessão encerramento. Hau convida fila fali Mãoze Dias atu belema encerra.
Please bear with me. Don't go yet. We just do the formal thing, and then we move to the celebration and anything else. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, sponsor, partners, participants, and committee members, as we draw near to the end of this remarkable event, I want to take this opportunity to extend my deepest gratitude to everyone who contribute to make this event a success. First and foremost, I must express our immense pride in being the partner proudly founded by APNIC. This partnership has been instrumental in realizing the vision and mission of TLNOG. I would like to especially thank Mrs. Sean Hermoso, unfortunately she is not here, from APNIC, whose unwavering support and effort were crucial in making this first event of TLNOG a reality. Her dedication and commitment have been a guiding force throughout this journey, and we are incredibly grateful for her contribution. TLNOG has worked tirelessly to create a platform that not only enhances network operation within Timor-Leste, but also strengthens our community capacity to engage with the global digital landscape. This event, like all great endeavors, began as an idea and was brought to life through the hard work and dedication of our committee. Over the past 4 months, through numerous discussions, both online via Zoom and in-person meeting, we have meticulously planned every aspect of this event. I want to sincerely thank all the committee members who voluntarily their time and effort to ensure that this event would not only take place, but be a resounding success. Your commitment to this project, despite the challenge, is truly commendable. I'd also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our generous sponsors and partners who made this event possible. To our platinum sponsor, Ethnic, Red Star Global, and Metrolink. Your substantial contribution have been pivotal in bringing this event to fruition. Our gold sponsor, Packet Clearinghouse and Sacomtel. Silver sponsor, Timor Telecom. And bronze sponsor, Gardamore. And community sponsor, Eto Telco. Thank you for your support. We also wish to acknowledge and thank all to the other entities whose name may not be mentioned here, but who play a vital role in making this event a success. The primary of this conference was to lay a groundwork for a strong, more cohesive network community in Timor-Leste by bringing together network professionals, experts, and enthusiasts. TLNOG aim to foster an environment where knowledge is shared, best practices are exchanged, and collaborative solutions are developed to address the unique challenge we face in the region. This event was a first step toward building a sustainable and thriving community of network operators who are equipped to contribute to the digital transformation of Timor-Leste. Over the past 3 years, we have had a privilege of hosting a workshop on internet routing for beginners, led by esteemed Mr. Awal Holder from APNIC. This workshop has provided participants with a comprehensive introduction to the fundamental of internet routing, with a particular focus on Cisco system. The hands-on practice lab offers during the session were designed to give participants a solid foundation in this critical area, especially tailored for those who are new to the field. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the participants who have successfully completed this intensive workshop. Your commitment to learn and your enthusiasm for the subject matter are what drive us to continue offering such educational opportunities. We hope that the knowledge and skill you have acquired here will serve as a strong foundation for your future endeavor in network operation. I would also like to extend my deepest appreciation to the committee member, your relentless effort, your decision, dedication, and your willingness to go above and beyond to ensure that this event was a success have not gone unnoticed. You have truly given your all. For that, we are deeply grateful. I also want to take this opportunity to apologize for any shortcoming in the event preparation. We recognize that our preparation were minimal due to various constraints, but your understanding and continue to support have been invaluable. As we look to the future, I'm excited to share our plan for TLNOG. We aim to continue build and nurturing our community through a mailing list as well as WhatsApp group. This platform will serve as a valuable resource for IT personnel and related field to share ideas, discuss, challenge, and collaborate on solution. We are also hopeful that with sufficient budget and support, we can organize more events like this one on annual basis, further expanding the opportunities for learning and professional development within our community. In closing, I want to thank you all once again for your participation and support. Your presence here is a testament to the growth strength of our network community in Timor-Leste. Together, we are laying the groundwork for a brighter, more connected future. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you at our future event. Thank you very much.
Dia obrigada barak babamze. Tuirmai ita tama ona base saum fahe certificado de apreciação ba itania sponsor ou itania patrocinador sira. Primeiro, ami bolu ulu patrocinador platinum husi Red Star. Representante husi Red Star, ami convida bele mai hola fating ha oin. Ami convida Mauze Dias atau bela entrega. Dia Tuirmai ami convida itania patrocinador Gol husi Desculpa. 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 Turmai ami convida itania patrocinador platinum husi apnik representante husi apnik bele mahola fatinga oi Mr. Awal, please take your place. Thank you, Mr. Awal. Tuirmai itane patrocinador platinum idatang husi Metrolink. Ami convida representante husi Metrolink atau bay mai hola fating ya oin. Representante husi Metrolink iya kari. Oke, le representante husi Metrolink laiha. Tan Tuirmai itania patrocinador Gol husi Packet Clearing House. Representante husi Packet Clearing House, kari kiane. Mr. Awal, can you represent? Please, okay. Please. Thank you, Mr. Awal. Tuirmai itane patrocinador Gol husi Sakomtiel. Representante husi Sakomtiel, respeita mi convida. Tuirmai itane patrocinador Silver husi Timor Telecom. Representante husi Timor Telecom. Karik Maun Leonel ho Maun Ferdinandus bele representa hela. Obrigada Maun Leo. Tuirmai itane patrocinador bronze husi Gardamor ISP. Representante husi Gardamor ISP, karikiane. Respeito a mi convida. Laiha. Okay. Tahu hotuana bak community sponsor eto. patrocinador ba community sponsor husi Eto Telco, representante husi Eto Telco. Sim. Itane patrocinador datang, bronze husi Ministério Transporte e Comunicação. Representante hane mau Fabio ho mau Abraham karikan. Mau Nicolau, sim, okay. Obrigada, Barak. Mau Nico, manje. Ihane amimos iha tokeng ba speaker sira. Primeiro ba Mr. Awal. Ami convida fila fali Mr. Awal. This is the token of appreciation. It's a Nobel Prize. Mr. Awal. Thank you, Mr. Awal. Antuir mai ba speaker itane speaker dana lamai duni mabe Miss Cheryl Hermoso. Mr. Awal can represent. Mr. Awal, please don't go back. We still have one here. And this token is for Mr. Aftab Siddiq. Yeah. I think one more maybe. Yeah. And for Mr. Chehu Chen also. Tomorrow your baggage will be overweight, Mr. Awal. Thank you so much, Mr. Awal. The business name of talking. So thank you, Mr. Awal. Ita tama ba sa sound door prize? Sa sound na ba makita o tuhey ngusi daresang. Basa 5 makas. Mana jela mana noni bele lori fishbowl tau he oi. Ami convida fila fali representante sira husi patrocinador ou sponsor atu bele mai dada Rifa. Rifa nen larang ya lista participante sira. Quase convidar os tam he larang hatu si. Primero ami Ami convida Fila Fali Mr. Awal atau bermain holofating ya weng. Mr. Awal, can you take place in front? Yeah, pick one. No, your name is not. Kami convidamos usi Red Star, representante usi Red Star. Usi Metrolink, representante ida ba? Usi Metrolink. Kolega sira voluntário, representa ela. Usi Sacom Tiel, Karik Bele, representa ela. Obrigada, senhor. Bele Foti Ida. Kami convida Monze Dias. Kami convidamos Mau Abilio. Bele Fotida ba? Mau Fábio. Halo favor. Representante Feton, kami convida mana Betty. Kita loke lah ya, mau mana sira? Ita surah hamutuk mau sira bele loke. Mai ita surah hamutuk, Ida. Rua tolo. So Mr. Awal.
The winner is Awal. Yeah, that was fake. The real person is Nicolau Castro Zimenses. Not here? Antonio W. Maisi da Costa.
Mau Antonio, bele mai hola fating ya oi. Bolu continua naran lah eh.
What if I have my own name? Can I give it to someone else? Can I give it to, no, I want to give it to someone else. Yeah. So it's my name. And then I give it to someone else. La fake news.
Turfal mai mananain Marfilho Fidel.
Senhor Engenheiro João da Costa.
Senhor Humberto Alves. Humberto Alves. Esta vez feito. Teresa Guterres.
Ne menang naing ne manetan Jacinto S. Ferreira. Manetan Marcus Cipriano. Lai. Ne komiti da mana ne veto mana Mary Henrique. Ne bele kalai tambah mana Mary mah ba compras sasan. Antau conforme agora mana Mary akara temi kedas narang o hilifalifong ne conforme mana Mary.
Lai hilifalifong dek ba.
Ne mane da fali Ami Maliana mahili malu kita heroes Jorge Suarez.
Iremos mana itu? Irmão Vasco de Vaz da Costa. Olha o Oscar.
Tes.
Oh, itu Vasco Barak. Noelia Maria Assis.
Ya, hauning narang nebe maksay sortinan ga mananain ba door prize ita hatin hutona. Turmay ami hahu, we start with Mr. Awal to choose what the present would want to give the winner. It's a prize for them. The red one, okay. Yeah, you can give them. Congratulations. Okay, next from representative of Red Star to choose the present. Okay, the gold one. Congratulations to the winner. Tirfamay ami kuvidas representante si Sacom hodi Hili presente na bemak hodi fo entrega ba manang naim. Parabéns ba mananain. Dia trifalmay ami hus manje dias atu hilimos presente ba mananain. Parabéns. Dia turmay ami convidamos Mount Abilio atu hilimos presente ho di entrega ba mananain. Denemak amnya kamarada Timor-Leste. Dia parabéns ba mananain. Oke, turfalmay entre azul ho meang ami convida manabeti ho di hili presente ho di entrega ba mananain. Azul. Parabéns. Dia ka ikusliu ami convida Mount Fabio bela entrega presente ba mananain. Dia parabéns ba manang sirahotu haono inta basa liman dalay datang. Parabéns. Dia kami convida Filafali representante sira ho di tour Filafali Fatin. Dia itania session ikus ba lorong ohinian lorong konferensia nebe itahu ho lorong workshop lorong tolonian conclui ho lorong ohinian lorong termina ho konferensia no agradece bane maromak tamba bototulau sucesso ho início to ohin lorong ita ganha experiência lubukira ita ganha matene lubukira no encoraja na fatin ita hodi aprende hodi labele tauk atau estuda na fatin no ne ita bele ganha ita ninia habilidade para glitan e futuro. Dan é muito importante no honoring ami agradecemos ba patrocinador sira nebe maka hosting inisiativa hodi apoia atividade dane hodi ita bele realiza evento dane to ita termina ba o in loron yan. Nune sessão ikus niyan ami preparamos coffee break hodi termina ita ninia evento dane no ami espera katak evento tu mai fali ita mos bel hola parte mai be molok ita ba hola pequeno almoço lanche nebe liur husi hotel ramelo prepara na maita ita say hello sessão foto hamutuk nune how entrega fali microfone ba presidente chefe comité hodi lau ka fating nebe ma ita to say foto ihaneka liur okay how na liur iha basic piscina ne fating furak ita aproveita foto hamutuk tamba sere evento ser kumai karves lá nessa zona, lógica lá. Ok, bom, aproveita, obrigado, boa tarde, a minha rua, licença.